20. As of the first quarter of 2019, youth unemployment stands at 55.2%. Young people are desperate for jobs. What are you doing from your part to help?
Well, good morning, Xoli, and to your viewers. Indeed, youth unemployment remains one of the biggest issues in the country. In fact, it remains the single most biggest challenge that the sixth administration will have to look into. But I think also probably to put some of the numbers in context, you'd know that in fact the biggest chunk of young people that are unemployed are those between the ages of 15 and 24. Now, generally people who are between those particular age brackets should be young people that are actually getting a skill somewhere at school and so on and so on. Now, one of the biggest problems there has been that after grade 9 of schooling, a lot of young people actually drop out for a variety of reasons. Some of them due to academic issues, some of them due to the social issues. Like, for instance, we found through the research that a lot of young girls actually drop out due to family-related issues where parents die. They are forced to become parents at a young age. Some of them, they fall pregnant. Some of them, they actually get faced with various situations. So what we've now done is that we've engaged government on three things. One, we said that South Africa is one of the few countries in the world that does not have a compulsory national youth service program, where we actually take all these young people that are neither in education, neither in employment and training, and we're able to take them into this program, give them a skill. For instance, we've got a partnership with the Department of Public Works, where we take old buildings, refurbish them. In that way, we're able to train young people as painters, as electricians, and so on and so on. But on top of that, you'd remember that last year when we launched the Youth Month, we said that experience has to be removed as an entry-level requirement for all jobs. This year, as we start the Youth Month, it has been actually removed. It's government policy today. So these are various things that we're doing. But I think lastly, we've got a very vibrant youth entrepreneurship program model, or the model of entrepreneurship, where young people come to us, register their businesses. We're able to give them training and mentorship. But on top of that, we give them what we call SMME grants. We don't give them loans because a lot of institutions actually give young people loans. And what we want is actually those young people to have their businesses, at the local level, grow them so that they're able to employ other young people on the ground.
Mr. Mtweni,
yeah.
Looking through your website this morning,
yes.
You state there that some 4,071 jobs were created
yes.
and sustained through the grant program that the NYNDA dispenses. In which sectors were these jobs created and when?
Well, I think also just before that, in just last year, in the last financial year, we've been able to fund over 1,000 brand new SMME or business owners through that particular program. As you know, they operate in a very micro to medium type of businesses. Some of them, they employ 2, 3. The biggest aspects are found in the services industry. A lot of young people are going in there, but also the retail industry. We have had a few young people also going into the construction industry. But one of the things that we now did is to encourage innovation. We've now established within the grant funding something that directly funds young people in innovation.
Do you know what's interesting about what you've just said? I'm sorry to cut in, but all the sectors that you've mentioned where these young people have been absorbed, as you say, these are the very industries that we're leading in terms of the jobs bloodbath that were mentioned by Statistics South Africa: construction, finance, and the services sector. Are you still sure that these jobs that you claim on your website were created and sustained are not the very same jobs that were lost?
Well, I think firstly, we're not claiming them. Those are real jobs that are there. But I'm saying, remember, here we're talking about things that we do at a small scale. There's also things that are done at a bigger scale. Those particular industries, by the way, sometimes when we talk about unemployment in this country, we tend to point a finger at government. The role of government is to create a conducive environment for economic activity to take place.
Let me cut in.
And then, no, let me finish my point.
Right,
yes.
Quite right. The question, therefore, my last question to you, we're out of time.
Yes.
But the question is, are you going to be working in collaboration with the newly appointed Minister of Small Business Development, that's Khumbudzo Ntshabeni, who sounds like a very, very enthusiastic person, passionate about creating entrepreneurs?
Yes.
What is your plan of action? Do you even plan working with her?
Of course. She's a young lioness. She's from the youth movement, and that's precisely what we wanted in that department, a new thinking, a fresh thinking. We need to do away with red tape, particularly for SMMEs. But I think on top of that, the point that I want to drive at is that the private sector has been making millions and billions in our country, and they have not reinvested that into creation of jobs. We've launched the YES program, which is the Youth Employment Services Program, where we're actually expecting that the private sector will inject over 1 million jobs. So those particular sectors that you're speaking about, we want to call on the private sector. We did that in the Job Summit last year, in the Investment Summit. What we want to see in the 6th administration is the private sector and government actually working together to ensure that young people find work in this country.
I see that on your website you're saying that in terms of clean audits,
yes,
the NYDA can pride itself for that. It's a welcomed improvement, but over the years, you know that the story with the NYDA has been the lack of transparency as far as that. What about the salary bill of this agency that you run? Are you looking at any bonuses, or do you plan to freeze those, given the kind of state that we're in?
Well, I think, by the way, we're also celebrating 10 years of NYDA in this June. The NYDA has really turned a corner in the last 5 years. I think we've now started making headlines for the right reasons, employing the right people in the right places. We've got the youngest CEO, by the way, in the continent. He's 31 years old. We've been getting, this is going to be the 5th consecutive clean audit. We've been running a proper, our salary bill, by the way, is the lowest in terms of government institutions. We're sitting at 34%. So what we've now done is that we've reinvested money into projects. We had a very painful restructuring process over the last 2 years, but I think we found each other with labor. Where we are now, we're operating at full speed. NYDA is one of the best performing government institutions in this country.
Mr. Mswani, thank you very much for your time.